We'll see what happens with this draft here and what their read is going to be coming into Game 3. Because, well, I think in isolation, the drafts have been fine. They have been really tough to pilot into what we've seen from B&K in Game 1. Massive prio deficits, and then in Game 2, a heavily melee composition with Ziggs on top into the Ashe Seraphine. The Rumble will stay banned. Twisted Fate also taken away from Vikla.
Yeah, I think that's fair, especially from the first pick side, but does mean they're going to be looking for one of these picks. I do wonder which one it will be. Pantheon still left up so far. Poppy as well was banned, Mbessa, and Lucian.
That's a great ban, though, I think, into Diablo, and one that I think Dplus may have to go for the rest of the series, unless they want to put Smash on the same pick. It's just such a strong pick for him, and he has warped so many games for it. And once again, 3 in a row, the Mbessa will be taken away here from Shiu and Lucid. So you chose first pick. You opted into it. What will that first pick be? A little bit less obvious here than it was in the last 2 games. Because yes, you have Pantheon, and it is the highest tier jungle that's left, but you don't have the Taliyah anymore. You don't have the Rise. You don't have that strong global rotation power with this Pantheon. It's still strong in its own right, but not as strong as it was earlier in the draft. And now the Yunara will just go over and return, and maybe they'll scrap a Lulu with it, Valdez. And I worry already for Dplus when I see this duo on the other side.
Yeah, it's very difficult because there was just so much left up. I mean, even Poppy's available if B&K want to play that a little bit later on. If DK overcommit into aggression, which, you know, they might just be able to do here with the Pantheon.
It's gotta be quirky Nico, right? Like, that's the only option. You've got to slam that down. And you're going to have to trust Career is going to pull it off here. It is so incredibly difficult if you fall behind. They're going to go for the Nami instead. This is a Career favorite. He has 100% win rate on Aftershock Nami as well. But it is a it is a very, very tall task to come back in this game if you fall behind in this lane. And Nocturne, an unusual pick in this scenario, but we'll be able to match Global, the Pantheon, and can also mess up a lot of the setup that Dplus are going to be looking for in team fights to try to lock down point click on this Yunara. So it does make sense.
Yeah, I think it's a good call. You want to be just going forward. You know, like you would play a Zeri comp, you just want to essentially take the aggression off of the Yunara here. As now we're going to have the Gwen banned away. That was hovered last game, but we did not see it into the Renekton, so the Aurora instead. So still left up here in Game 3.
I'd almost rather see Dplus just extreme simplification of this draft. They banned the Ahri. I was thinking maybe you just go Ahri yourself. Maybe you go Camille. You just say, I'm not going to let Diablo play the game. We're playing a dive comp. Corki's going to Valkyrie on the follow when the ult comes through from the Pantheon. Because this is Diablo we're talking about here. Next to Ruler, nobody has really been able to do what this guy has done on this pick when given advantages. Smash has had his own fair share of games with this pick this way, but guess what? He's not piloting it here in Game 3. The cannon is removed, and if you go for frontline and you just try to go toe-to-toe with this Corki, it's just not going to be able to match the damage output, so creativity, I think, will be required here for Dplus, but they don't have the counter pick because they opted for first pick. The Pantheon they got is great, but now it's up to Dplus, or rather up to B&K, what they want to pick here first, and I think mid blind is probably the safer option.
Zoe Nocturne looks to be the play here for the side of B&K, and it gets swapped to Cassante. So we have blind Cassante coming in here for clear.
Zoe could be powerful here for Showmaker. Even Syndra, as much as I loathe the champ oftentimes, feels like it could be great setup in this draft that, again, needs to find some way to kill this Yunara. More engage is always going to be better. The Zoe is going to be what they opt for. They take it away. At least that's the expectation here as the lock comes through.
Yeah, and it gets a big cheer from the fans. They would love to see Showmaker Zoe, and they are going to get it in game number 3.
Will Vikla just play a scaling carry is the question as the Jax comes through here. Something like a Victor or even like a Mel doesn't feel out of the question here in this draft. Can be quite strong.
Like Galio.
can play Galio to further the protection onto Clear and onto Diablo and say, it's 1v9 Diablo time, which has often been a pretty safe bet.
Yeah, you got the Nocturne as well.
The Syndra, though,
but instead...
This is what I thought Showmaker would do had he chosen this pick instead of the Cassante. A little bit surprised to see the tables turn on this one, because this feels highly unnecessary for the draft here of B&K, because this does neither what you and I went on into two sides of the coin of Galio for protection of the AD carry into index further into Diablo, or additional scaling damage because you already have the Cassante frontline and you turn a single threat comp into a double threat. This is engage and pick in a draft that has a scaling Unara and a Cassante frontline, and it doesn't actually synergize that well with Nocturne either. It can if you're in the right place at the right time. And the Nocturne finds that ambitious ultimate.
Yeah, you have a lot of kill pressure with the Unleashed Power and the Paranoia that come through if you want to blow up one target, but they have to be in the right place at the right time, and generally from ahead can feel very good. You know, when the Syndra spikes one item, you get the Hex Plate for the Nocturne as well.
I just think when I look at how this series has gone, it feels like a neutralizing pick to try to shut Showmaker out, but Showmaker has had the better early games in both of our first two games. And so for the first time in this series, with this Syndra pick, I thought up until that moment, I really liked the draft better for B&K. I'm going to have to give Dplus the nod in this one in Game 3. I think the Syndra was not 100% what they were looking for in this one, but we'll see how it's piloted. The rest of this draft has a strong backbone and an incredible carry in Diablo.
Yeah, and also feels like POM is up for grabs. Maybe Diablo can grab it with the Unara in game number 3. We'll have to wait and see how it does go as we hop onto the ribs for that game number 3. And here we go. Lower finals could be decided in this very game, as DK have found no luck in the first couple. B&K just shutting them out so far.
When I think about side lane champions that are really, really powerful to play through with a Nocturne that can shadow them, Cassante and Syndra are absolutely not on that list. They're not the ones you think, they're not the ones that come to mind. As coming to mind down here is a heal trade and a strong level 1 for B&K.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Lulu nowadays. I feel like it goes with pretty much anything, and especially with hyper carries. When Karma's gone, you can just be so aggressive, so annoying, and you have Diablo on your team. I think Smash and Career are being out-traded big time so far.
Weakness of Unara level 1 is that it takes a few auto attacks to charge the Q, but if you actually have the heal to push in and start those trades faster, and the Lulu has more damage throughput, you'll always win that exchange. You'll be able to force barrier, and you'll get your Q online so you can continue the extended trade, and Corki will never be able to match the damage, even with Career here. And so Diablo and Kellen play this aggressively. They understand the tempo well, and they will get level 2 first and control this wave.
Yeah, not too surprising, but the way the trades went was a bit more than I expected. I'm also excited to see what's going to happen in mid lane between those two. As Clear's going on in, he's going to dodge the counter-strike and actually get a nice little trade against you. I feel like the Cassante early on should have an advantage against the Jax, but eventually the Jax will become a problem as Lucid, going through his own jungle, doesn't know that Raptor is here. And we don't know exactly where he is either. Just kind of go for the wolves, maybe? Okay, well, Lucid coming on in, going for an early gank, and Kellen just dies. First blood given over to Career, but it's still a kill. It's now Raptor gonna try to get out of there, but yeah, not in a great spot himself. Flashes forward to try to get closer, and Raptor gonna have to flash himself. Does spell shield the sleep, and he will be okay.
Just a complete, I mean, I don't want to call it unlucky, but misread perhaps is the easier way to cast or explain this situation, because Raptor is trying to utilize the prio in this 2v2 lane that we talked about so much already, how powerful the Lulu is early, to try to then steal away some camps. Unfortunately for him, he's hoping that it's multifaceted. He comes over here, sees if the Pantheon is bottom side, and he tries to take the Wolves away. Instead, he misses Lucid, has no idea, and his overextension here ends up being a huge problem. Tries to make something of it, will trade his flash there in the end. But Nocturne early game, definitely a little bit weaker than Pantheons, and I think they should have at least put a ward down right there on his way over to the Raptor camp, as they do end up getting caught basically in their blind spot there in the bottom lane.
Yeah, very interesting way to start it off. Career going to try to hit first item a little bit quicker with that first blood gold that he did pick up. He's not exactly been having the happiest gaming so far. Took a lot of deaths on the Nautilus, which again, it was Nautilus into Ashe Seraphine, like, and eventually when you fall behind, you're the guy who's dying. So I don't really feel like that was his fault, but I do worry for his mental state. As we know, Career can struggle with that from time to time. I don't think he should take it too personally from the first couple of games, but they need him to be playing good League of Legends. As Kellen, speaking of which, he's going to have to flash away. Career flashes forward as well, and Diablo now is like, I've got an opportunity here, as barriers are going to be traded.
Yeah, Kellen gets his heal back online, so that's a little bit of extra health as they get slow.
Slurko comes in, Career in a lot of trouble, no sums. Couple more autos could do it. Flash forward, and Diablo, seeing blood in the water, picks up a kill for himself.
The Unar damage output is just so insane. They almost had enough to take Kellen out there, but his heal comes back, and the turnaround on the second Q is there for Diablo, and that is just enough to grab that kill there. Smash has flash, doesn't have any agency with it to try to save Career, who now is down summoners and lost his life. As you see here, Kellen almost goes down, but Smash uses a lot of buttons for this, and he's low on mana, and Diablo's like, okay, I want to play for this. His second Q comes back, he has the barrier, now he has enough damage output to where he knows Smash without barrier cannot actually compete. If he steps up, he will lose the trade, and Career is isolated. Smash being too low health here means that with that slow coming down, his life is over. The Nami there. Career, his first death of the game in this one. Back to Vikla here. The laning phase has been pretty stable. You know, we haven't had that first dragon just yet, so we'll see what happens, as that's kind of been the struggle for him so far this game.
Yeah. Those first dragons...
or this series, I should say.
Yeah, they've been a big factor in terms of getting those stacking drakes going. Especially for game number 1, felt like a lot of oppression. Game number 2, a little bit less, because they were just so far ahead. But either way, gonna feel good for DK to be able to pick that one up, as Shiu does get traded against. He's doing a great job here in the top lane. Getting ahead here on this Jack's gonna feel very good, as Lucid will pick up the Drake with the help of the Corki.
With the win of the Taliyah that Vikla picked up in game 1, his Syndra is now his lowest win rate champion with more than 15 games played. And so a lot of confidence again for him to pull this out in a series like this, again, without having a lot of success on it. Similar to the Twisted Fate we talked about many, many series ago that he pulled out to find great success there in the upset win over T1. So Vikla, I think, really trying to get out of his shell a little bit here, push the boundary. Speaking of,
Got to be very careful. If that hits, I mean, there is kill pressure, and maybe Raptor has to come on over, but he's not even level 6. So, getting a little bit frisky, as Vikla has been this entire day. It's going to be a play going over to Showmaker, who does have Lucid nearby for protection. Gets the crab, gets level 6, picks it up first.
That win rate was 40, just to contextualize. I'm not saying he's sitting at like a 17%. 40%.
Okay.
So
Raptor, level 6.
He does have that
dive.
Yeah, he does have that opportunity set up here. Diablo, on the other hand, does not have wild growth, so this is really going to have to be a trade to start this off, I think, before this can actually go off. As Smash steps forward.
It's just smart from Career to stay as far back as possible. They need to know the timing. Lucid just hit 6. If Nocturne's around and Career goes forward, he doesn't even have level 6, doesn't have flash. He will just die. Yeah,
and, you know, Lucid's on the opposite side of the map. Pantheon Ultimate does not reach that far. They are playing this so patiently, but ultimately do just decide to back away. His Nocturne can still engage near Krugs, so he's not really losing too much as this wave pushes through to go ahead and take those. But it looks like nothing is going to eventuate from this little camp from Raptor down on the bottom side. He's coming back over now, and it looks like he's going to try to get more vision. As Kellen now does have wild growth, and that makes this a lot more potent. Yeah. He actually has the advantage over Career for half a level. That was a huge window.
And his circle comes down. You can see that Raptor's just itching. He wants to press it, and in he goes. In onto the Nami, and Career's like, what do I even do? I was playing carefully, as now Lucid gonna come in. They try to take down Raptor, but Raptor is so tanky, and Diablo just runs him down. And even gonna push Smash back just a little bit for good measure, and wins the trade in a big way. Now we have Burst coming in. Showmaker wants to punish Vikla here, as the Q comes down and Showmaker doesn't quite have the pressure. Kellen getting in, he wants to kill, but it goes over to Raptor instead, and Smash will follow eventually. Really the only question is who picks this one up as the Q comes down, and actually
I think
he does get away.
He's going to live here because they just ran out of buttons. Everyone's too low. He could pick up a triple if they wanted to push, push it further or ask the question. As Career still doesn't have level 6, or he'd love to toss it in.
No, Career, not like this. He's going to have to flash, and man, the dominoes, they're not even falling one by one. It's like the entire stack of them just got flattened.
Yeah, it looks like, it was a slow play for Raptor, but eventually he just slapped him down. Like they stopped falling, actually, quite quickly. So what adds insult to injury here, as look at where Lucid is, they step forward because they're like, okay, Lucid now is in ult range. But this happens so quickly. Like, look at the Pantheon ult timing. The irony is because he's here, he's actually now an extra liability.
Yeah.
And they almost turn this into a triple here in the bottom side as he tries to shadow the bottom lane. Obviously that all-in does happen in mid, but you can see here Lucid tries to channel it back. His burst down. And then Smash, luckily for him, is able to survive here. Very, very low on health. Diablo's like, I'm not going to pick up turret aggro for this one. Raptor's Q is not going to connect, and that's the end of that.
It's really just the burst damage. It's like who gets the initiation off first.
And the Wild Growth was ready. Career doesn't have Tidal Wave, so he just doesn't have the answer.
And of course, if he had Flash, maybe he could bring him back, but he used it because he didn't expect the hide on Bush tech, I guess, once again. As now, here we got Diablo flashing in, gonna get the Wild Growth on top, and Smash is like, God, I don't get to play the game.
He is really not playing the game very much in this series thus far. That's a bit of a rough one. It's a trade of flashes for the 80 carries, but Barrier is gone. And with the one trade, it's hard for Smash to stay because the Nocturne is back up and ready with Paranoia.
Yep.
You gotta clear that wave as fast as possible. They will be able to do it. So it looks like that's the end of the aggression there on the bottom side, but it may just be this is transitioned into a Dragon take here for B&K, their first of the game, an Infernal. As we do see Lucid with his ult back up, and he's lurking around as well, so they need to be measured with this bottom 2v2 aggression now because Diablo still does not have Flash. He just traded it.
Yeah, no Wild Growth, no sums. I think you do have to be a little bit more careful now, especially the Nocturne backed away. But Lucid is down here babysitting, just trying to help Smash farm a little bit. But Hexplate is done now. And that means that Raptor, they should be looking for another play on the bottom side of the map. Lucid knows about this. But if they can get another kill into a Dragon, you're beginning to take off on the B&K rocket in this game.
Certainly is looking pretty tough as Pantheon actually completes the back to pick up his Sundered Sky, but that means that he's not here, and this is a huge opportunity now for Raptor to start up this Dragon. They have full control of the bottom lane, and I believe the Pantheon was seen backing. I'm not 100% sure, but it looked like he was on a ward. It's going to show up again right now, so they know where he is.
Yeah, and now they're just going to try to turn this onto the Corki. You see that the Fear comes down, but they got to deal with the Pantheon. Lucid doing a good job of frontlining. Flash comes forward as Showmaker wants to make the play, but Lucid goes down. As that will be the kill over to Raptor. Now the chase is onto Career. Flash forward, it's not going to connect. And now Vikla being burst away. The Unleashed Power comes in though, as, oh no, Diablo oversteps. Not the first time, but that is massive for the side of DK. Vikla trying to get out. It looks like he barely will be able to.
It has the shield, gets the scatter, and he gets away. Very, very close turnaround there for Dplus, as things could have been much worse. And Vikla says, I want to continue to make that the case. Wants to lurk here and find Smash.
I think
he was on a ward.
Okay, well.
And Valdez, that vision toggle was, it was Vikla's. He did not know he was on a ward. And so going back to this initial play, at this moment, Diablo's like, okay, this is so free. Polymorph goes down, they cannot lock me up. He gets stunned, but the fight is already like basically in his hands. He's like, this is done. And there's just no way to lock him down anymore unless Showmaker hits a bubble, right? And Diablo chases forward here, tidal wave buys some space, and then at this moment, Vicla's alone, running forward. And then Diablo's like, I guess I'll clean up your mess. So then he goes in alone and gets caught. It's just a bit sloppy here from BNK. Not really two ways about it. Dplus thanks to the freebie.
Showmaker just dies. And this is right before the Infernal Drake. Clear is being bopped a little bit. And actually the Infernal does go over to DK. So they were on it, and Showmaker tried to rotate over, it looks like, and just kind of dies. So Mountain Soul this time. No Hex Tech for a third time in a row.
It's a pretty good win, or big win for BNK that they're able to at least get Showmaker because, like you said, it's Double Dragon and Mountain. First non-Hex Tech Soul of the series. And that ends up being a bit of extra gold going over there, keeps them in the gold lead. But Dplus have really turned this game around. You can see that despite his death, he has a significant gold lead himself, Showmaker. And the Corki has caught up in the bottom lane from what, unfortunately, was a lot of errors from Career there on the bottom side. Now this is just Showmaker Lisa trying to rotate in. There was a control ward in that brush, so Showmaker didn't know exactly where anybody was. And Clear's just like, sorry, man.
I love that that happens to Showmaker. Just one of the most Cassante moments we've had in a while, and it happens to the guy who made the meme. Yeah, Showmaker not going to enjoy that too much, but this is pretty massive for DK, as you mentioned. 2 dragons. They've caught up in essentially every facet. And Vicla, once again, this time he's just going to face check, and guess who's here? It is indeed Lucid. Somehow Career gets that kill, as now they're going for the kill. Up on the top side, looks like, once again, Showmaker will meet his arch nemesis, as Clear picks up another kill and gets him down. Shiu is going in, but that is Yunara.
And the lane
going to force him to ult away.
Here, a little bit awkward for DK. Like, they have Smash in the bottom lane with the Pantheon, so he's relatively free to farm, but I don't know if he needs to be here right now as the Jax is dealing with the Yunara, so not having a great time!
Shiu, no! What's going on here?
And so the Corki is back
mid,
and he just dies in the mid lane to the Yunara. Like I was saying, this is not where the Jax wants to be. The Jax wants to be dealing with the Cassante, where he can counter-strike and buy space, not where Showmaker is, who ends up getting caught there on the top side and burst down. And Dplus' macro falling apart a little bit here in this mid-game, and now the Herald is up for grabs.
Yeah, it just looks like they're falling apart a little bit at the seams. And now the Herald's up here, and now we got the stun down on the Lucid. Tons goes into him, and Clear has the flank once again. 2 kills, the Herald, and Smash alone just trying to get away. And BNK, the rocket has really taken off here.
It really is. 3 grubs already theirs. Herald in their possession. And it's moments like this, again, where we have to question, why are the lanes set this way?
Oh, no.
Which is just some greed there on the bottom side for Corki. Ended up being in an awkward spot coming back. Shiu has to clean up the mess. The Wild Growth is incredibly powerful, obviously, in this type of situation. And over here, like, Vicla just ends up getting the massive one, right? Like, he ends up getting the double here. Diablo is set up. And there's just, like, the contest of this didn't even really make sense. And maybe they thought Vicla was backing and had been completely just opted out, and perhaps without him they could make something happen. They were wrong if that's what they thought, and they're very aware of it now as the only lead, again, is the most popular player in the arena in Showmaker, but everything else is in complete shambles for Dplus.
Yeah, the first pick Pantheon has been dealt with in a huge way by BNK. They knew exactly what to do. The Nocturne attacks first, can get into the fight faster, and essentially just kind of ignores the Pantheon. And the Yunara Lulu was just never going to be matched. Not in a game 3 of Fearless by DK. Not by these 2 players. And now the siege is coming down. Vicla takes just an insane amount of damage for some reason. Meanwhile, Showmaker rather is pushing the top lane.
Showmaker's just trying to get as much gold as he can, because I think he's realizing very quickly that he needs to be the big man on campus in this game and pop off and get the burst damage done, because maybe the only way to lock down Diablo is a Sleepy Trouble Bubble or just big Paddle Star damage before a fight even breaks out. It has to be him. He has to be strong. He has to be able to do that burst. He needs as much money as possible to make that happen. As now finally the lanes are set up back the way they should be here for Dplus. And I mean, it's
much to Smash's chagrin. He's not very happy about this.
It's wild to think that. Okay, we are going to see a bit of a Showmaker gank here, so I'll hold my words for a moment.
Yeah, I got to land the stun, and the bubble is going to sail wide, and Smash once again tries to step up to Diablo. The bubble, though, is gigantic. as we do see the follow-up tidal wave, though. It's going to keep him at bay, and just that. As Diablo is just so powerful right now. We do see Lucid is here, and the flash!
Diablo baits him! He baits him!
Oh, he's just styling all over DK right now, and Showmaker once again has to deal with these two. Once again dies to the Cassante.
I mean,
what do you do?
When we had Arrow on the desk the other day, he was like, I don't know why Diablo plays like this, doesn't need to, but it's fun to watch, and it works out, as he's literally baiting the Pantheon flash stun. He has his flash on the ready. He's standing on the edge of the range. You can see it.
Yeah.
You can practically see the range indicator with your eyes as you watch that moment, and he's just so ready.
Yeah, BNK are here farming wins, and Diablo's here. He's like, I want some of those Showmaker fans to look at me as the next generation of the LCK, as we definitely know he is a big part of it. It looks like this first Mountain Drake should be going over to the side of BNK. Channeling it back here is Cassante. Just gonna find Shiu, who's like, well, what's going on here in this bush? I've got a Counter-Strike. That's not gonna do all too much against the Syndra. That's a lot of damage. A massive stun comes down, but the health bars are pretty low. Looking to engage now. Showmaker desperate for something, and Lucid just blown up immediately. And you see that the rest of the DK is just running away. In goes Raptor, flashes out there as the sleep comes in, but the damage is enough as Kellen says, I will collect the kill. And he does exactly that. BNK now 5,000 gold ahead, Wolf.
The first pick Pantheon is 0 and 4. And it looked like a balloon dashing to a needle in that last moment. As he just goes in looking for any opportunity. This is the demise of Showmaker from moments before. And he is just taken out as a sleep on the Nocturne, but can only sleep one of them. And then here, desperation. You know, you're trying to check this bush. That control ward was so high value. And then Lucid's like, maybe there's something in this. Maybe there's enough damage here. Maybe I can actually pull this off.
Oh, no.
Where does he go? Straight into the back line. Gotta kill Vickle. Vickle just flashes and then he just disappears. Health bar gone. Not strong enough. No follow-up. Nothing. And we have two global jungles in this game. One of them feels truly worldwide. The other one is just global in name. As Lucid has died everywhere. And Raptor has killed everywhere. And now we're looking at a 6,000 gold lead here at 20 minutes. And I was promised this series would go the distance. I was promised we didn't know what was going to happen. And I think that was true. That sentiment was felt by almost everyone. And the crowd is 4D+.
Yeah.
I cannot stress this enough. The crowd is 4D+ here in the arena. And yet, this may be one of our most one-sided playoff matches of the tournament. And Diablo, 7,000 damage ahead of not only Smash, but like, he's 7,000 damage ahead of him, and that's the closest. No one else, she was at 9,000.
Yeah.
Showmaker's way down there.
I mean, if you fall behind with the Zoe, Showmaker becomes useless, especially when he keeps getting Nocturne ulted in the side lane. There's just no presence from him. The AD carry matchup is winning for Diablo, so he gets to do whatever he wants in mid. Smash has no pressure. And then she was like, well, if you give me 10, 20 minutes, maybe I can do something about Cassante, but it's not going to happen now. It feels like we've been in this situation for DK like 3 games in a row.
Not that it's impossible for Shiu to be relevant, but he's also holding 0 grubs because they didn't get those either. And it's a little bit shell-shocking to think that the team that just reverse swept T1 just cannot hold a candle to BNK here in this best of 5 today.
BNK looking insane tonight, and now they're looking for Shiu as well, and they will pick up that kill. A bunch does go into clear, but he is the tank. And so at the end of the day, he will brush it off and not really care all too much. But it's just another kill, another turret going the way of BNK. And they're just, you know, there's no big objectives. I guess they could go for Baron, but they say we'll take the kill first.
Dragon's up in 140. So they'll grab this vision. They are on a 3-item Yunara setup. Like, we're doing Baron. Feels like it could be quite strong, but they also have a Syndra. So it's not the fastest Baron, and they don't have a ton of control, so they're going to play a little bit more patiently as Diablo has Flash.
Yeah, he is just not going to use it until the very end here, but Flash has come in from Lucid, and now Clear shows up, and he says, get away from my AD carry. And Diablo is still alive, finally. We do see the spear come in, and Clear a little bit out of position. Now he's being burst, but he is going forward in BNK fashion, has the wild growth, and they say, no Lunara, no problem. And they will be able to take down Smash and eliminate the second AD carry from this fight. Because now Shu's like, huh, maybe I can do it. Nope, he's just gonna get stunned up, as we do see Raptor going on in. And I think they gotta get out of here. Stat, although we are gonna see Shu going in, does land the double stun. And now Showmaker trying to get something done as Unstoppable will go clear. And finally, Vikla is going to show up to this one. And Shu finally does get that kill on a Raptor, but eventually will bite the dust. As now we have the bubble coming in. Showmaker trying his best to make something of this series. But he's just going to get polymorphed and trying to follow up here. He's going to pick up a flash, but not quite able to land too much more.
Yeah, the blast cone is going to help build more space here, but I think that was the end of it, that final sleep. A lot of play here from Clear in this crazy scrap, which Diablo gets caught in as he greeds insanely for Raptors here, but he does have flash right, and knows Cassante is somewhat nearby, gets the shield from the Cassante, has his barrier shield, and he almost bursts Lucid down. He is so close to killing him. If he does, this situation is actually totally different, as Clear does a lot of heavy lifting to keep him alive. Then goes in here with a Q3. He's level 16. Wild Growth's on him. Then he splits this fight as well in the follow-up here when the Jax shows up. They get the kill on the Smash. And Shu gets the double stun. I don't know if we're going to go deep into this replay because there's probably something happening live because this is going to go for a while. But Shu ends up in this chase here getting a ton of value. And then Clear splits the fight. Raptor gets away here. There's the flash to get the double stun. And Showmaker is just out of range for so many of these bubbles. He wants to hit some of these paddle stars with these low health bars. But this moment here from Clear is fantastic. Vikla goes in a little bit deep by himself for some reason. As Clear saves the bottom side of the fight. And ultimately, Kellen then has to save him. Some really good play from Kellen. This is a scrappy fight that didn't need to be that scrappy. The lead here for B&K, though, is so big that I just don't know if it matters that Dplus get these small victories in these longer exchanges.
Yeah, it's not enough, as you mentioned. Now we're going all out under the turn, and guess who's back? Back again. It is Nocturne to bring you the nightmares to any side laner, as Diablo's just in it. I don't really know how he got here, but he is ready to fight, as he always is. Diablo picks up the kill and has the McHale's right there. Meanwhile, we see Smash and Career trying to push away the Cassante, but like, they're losing so much, man. B&K are just owning all of the games today.
Yeah, and this is, I think, in part due to draft. Something we haven't talked about that much. You know, in terms of the overall season, we've talked a lot about the AD carry meta, funneling your AD carry's goal, winning bottom lane, playing that 3v3 better. But draft has played a major part, I think, in so many of our playoff series, including B&K's win over T1, Dplus's win over T1, and now Dplus's loss. It looks like very likely here to B&K.
Oh,
no vision,
no
nothing.
Idea. Showmaker might just die here. The power comes in, and he is just hiding in the jungle. And no longer will Zoe be alive for this Baron. Career as well might be in some trouble. Bubble does go down on a Vikla, but even the Wild Growth is there trying to save Vikla. He's running away from everybody, and nobody can deal with him. Career goes down, and Clear is behind enemy lines. B&K truly are off the rails now, as Vikla is back, decides to die.
10,000 gold the lead here means that Vikla, the worst thing is he might get a stern talking to after this game, but I just don't know if it is really going to matter here as Dplus barely hanging on in this game, and to win this series and to face off against Gen.G, it will have to not only reverse sweep, but win this game, which is of the three arguably the most one-sided. As Vikla here gets the secure kill onto Showmaker, is otherwise very deep and absorbs a lot of resources here, but it's worth because Diablo shows up. Diablo's like, oh yeah, don't forget, I am also quite large in this game. The double stun is able to buy a little bit of space here, but Dplus, it feels like they are they can't make a dent in this lead, into this lead. The wallets are heavy, whatever you want to say. No matter how well they play and how aggressively B&K play, it almost feels like they're being taunted by B&K because B&K are like way out of position, completely split. The Syndra's getting the Wild Growth, and you're like, yeah, but you still can't beat me. Does not matter. And,
Yeah.
you know, they had a early Drake lead in this game, but now we're evened up, and 2 of those Drakes are mountain for this Cassante. So there just isn't any good news. It's Unara with plated steel caps. And
yeah, I don't know.
Diablo's making a statement.
Sometimes the most unexpected result is the one that happens. Diablo is getting chunked out a little bit. Raptor getting flanked. He has to go forward. Doesn't really have any help from his team, though. Although on the bottom side of this one, Lucid getting shredded by this gigantic Unara. As Diablo is just running straight into them. Does not care at all. The flash forward from Kellen to save him. And Diablo can do whatever he wants tonight. And he will do exactly that. Has the backing of his team, and he knew it. Flashes into 4 people and does not get punished.
He just typed /God mode in the chat. And that's exactly what happened as his teammates give him all the resources. Smash here, looking for something.
Yeah, and they're stopping the back at the same time. Career's just dead, that's fine. But, like, they stop Smash from getting back so that this push can happen in mid.
That's an inhibitor down, and there's no angle.
Oh, no. Okay.
That's a very appropriate emote for the situation.
Nice. For the whole series.
This is just such a train wreck. And for B&K, there are no rules anymore. There is nothing you can do wrong. You cannot throw this game even if you tried. The lead they have, the global they have, the 80 carry they have. Vikla is gonna look for an angle.
Well, it's looking like death number 7 for the most popular guy in the arena, as we've mentioned many times, but he was not able to put up the performance to back it up, as now the damage goes in on the Smash, and that is Vikla's job. Just do just that, and Smash does not get to play the game. Doesn't matter if he dies or not. Smash 4-1, he's like, well, I guess this just wasn't our LCK Cup. We got the win onto T1, and that was a little bit too much, I suppose. And B&K, I mean, at least because this one is so one-sided, now I have hope that maybe B&K can do something tomorrow. Because before this, I was like, well, just give Gen.G the trophy, you know, the classic saying. But B&K looking amazing tonight, and DK have had no chance.
Certainly not really any ins in this series, as it's just an everything gap between these squads. The Showmaker trying his best to make something of this. The bubble connects.
There it is, the bubble, but everything is thrown into Diablo to keep him alive, and even Showmaker trying, but does no damage. Another sleep bubble does come in at least, and that's about all they're gonna get. The knockback comes back on a Lucid, he gets stunned, and Diablo looking for more, as Clear is going to pick up another kill and deny him any streak there. But the game is over, and B&K are just playing with their food. But they have done what they came here to do tonight, and that is to book their ticket to the grand finals tomorrow. Down goes Diablo, he does not care. B&K 3-0, shut out DK, make it to the grand finals, and also make it to first stand. I feel like the best team in this LCK Cup, but anything can happen with the momentum. Has they are so far ahead at this point, and it's B&K, and yet they're playing so respectful. So props to them in this moment.
I have to give credit to Kellen, how quickly he is able to identify when to ult, who to ult, because it doesn't always have to be Diablo in these fights. He bailed Vikla out of so many different situations. Clear as well, though, had a phenomenal series. This team has just leveled up. Sometimes you need a few extra reps, right? Like this roster was unchanged, and sometimes just like a year together and then you're ready to like really take the training wheels off, gets you to a position where you can reach new heights and break plateaus, and this team is just breaking them week after week, and I think we're not even sure what the ceiling of this squad is just yet.
Yeah, I mean, that's the real question. I feel like that's the most interesting thing that we have to look at for the future here in the LCK Cup, right? You know, how far is B&K going to go? Can Gen.G stop them once again? If Gen.G wins, I guess they're our top 1 by far, right? That would kind of prove that. But a lot to be decided tomorrow.
I think B&K...
Whereas I didn't expect, you know, that to be too close.
B&K have nothing to lose tomorrow. That's the truth, right? Like, if they lose, everyone will say, well, that's what we expected. For Gen.G, if they lose, it'll be, you know, arguably in a lot of ways more disappointing than Dplus getting shut out today, just because they were so dominant. They were incredibly successful in the group stage and really only dropped a game along the way to get here. So we will see how that series goes tomorrow. There's a lot to break down. There's a lot of opinions you and I have, as well as the Deskers I imagine have as well. As Raptor will pick up player of the match. He was my vote. I do think that the Nocturne game in particular was pretty swaying, but the Jarvan game was incredible in game 1 as well. And he was confident